Be here and announce our class. I'm not going to go into great detail. I'm sure you guys probably have specific questions about individual guys, but we're really excited about this class. It's a big class, 25, 26 guys on this class, and that's a big number of guys. We really were in need of depth at many positions. We always hunt quarterbacks. We got one in the class, and we think he's a really good one. We had to go all the way to Oklahoma to get him, but really excited about Prince McJunkins as a quarterback. We had a need at linebacker, and we took 3 linebackers, and that was a place where we felt like we just needed to add some guys and guys that could run, and we think we got some versatile guys at that position. And then at corner, we actually we took 5 DBs. All 5 of whom we think are athletic enough to play corner. They obviously all can't be in the game at the same time, but having the ability to move a guy that we feel is athletic enough to play corner, to play safety, gives us some freedom to move those guys and put them where they best fit. We took some offensive linemen. We really had a need at defensive end. We didn't get many guys there on the defensive line position. We wish we could have gotten more. Those guys are tough to recruit. Everybody recruits those big guys that run really well, and we do too. But we feel like there's some versatility with some guys that we signed to be able to move from the DB position to linebacker to defensive end to defensive tackle, and that's the way it goes in football. You move closer to the ball, or closer to the line of scrimmage and closer into the ball. That's usually the natural movement and progression. So we signed a lot of running backs. We signed 4 running backs, as well as getting the transfer from Ole Miss, Martez Eastland, who was the young man that we recruited last year, came on an official visit, signed with Ole Miss, and then enrolled here this spring. So really feel like we helped ourselves and felt like we had a real need there. Robert Brown being the only guy coming back off our team last year that got any snaps at B-back, and feel like we got some guys at the running back position that we recruited that can play both A-back and B-back. So excited about the class. It's not a big group as far as the height and weight. We're probably never going to recruit a really big bunch of guys, but we feel like we helped ourselves with speed. And that's something that's always going to be important to us. It's a philosophy that I have as a head coach to try to get guys that run fast, and so we try to find at every position, including the line positions, guys that we felt like ran good. We're going to have all these guys join us in the summer, just as we did our class a year ago. So they'll get in here and have a chance to develop for a few weeks before we get started with preseason camp. We'll give every one of them an opportunity to play in the fall, and we feel like some of them are going to have to provide depth and help us in the fall. I don't know which ones yet. We didn't know which ones from the class a year ago would be the guys that could step right in, but we feel like we're going to have to utilize some of the talent from this class to be able to either start or be backups and be able to contribute on the field. So with that, I'll take questions that you have, and I can talk about specific prospects.
Coach, what was your connection with the quarterback of Oklahoma? Obviously, that's not a normal area for you to go recruit.
We had probably 20 quarterbacks that we went through that we were recruiting at one point or another. We probably offered 10 quarterbacks before we ended up with Prince. Every single one of them ended up at a 1A school playing a different position. One playing quarterback. And so that's the frustration, is we find a guy we really like, we feel like is a fit for us at quarterback. Prince actually had a 1A school recruiting him as an athlete, and that's the category they fall under. When you see the BCS schools come out with their lists and you see ATH next to the name, those were the guys that played quarterback in high school that we were recruiting. And unfortunately, you can't beat those guys sometimes. And last year, we got 2 really good quarterbacks that we think are going to be outstanding in our offense in Jerick McKinnon and Izzy Ute. This year, unfortunately, weren't able to hang on to those guys. And we went searching, and we searched all over. And I tell you how we found Prince was we were sitting in there a week and a half ago on Sunday, and I said, we need to check all of the 1A boards for commitments that say athlete. And particularly some of the conferences that weren't playing in the BCS leagues that we thought we might have a shot at. And then if we find a guy, go to YouTube, go to Rivals, see if he's got video, look at video if you like him. And so we started scrambling around, and Brett Gilliland actually came back with this guy. He said, hey, I found this guy. And we liked him. We thought he looked like the kind of kid that we would recruit as a quarterback in our offense. We called. There was an interest. He had been recruited by several schools in that part of the country, and his dad was a fantastic college quarterback at Wichita State, played for Willie Jeffries at Wichita State. His dad is named Prince McJunkins as well, and I found that out, so I called Nick Calcutta, who's a friend of mine who worked with Willie Jeffries at South Carolina State, and he said that's the best freeze option quarterback ever to play the game. And he said if his son's anything like him, you probably got a pretty good player. And we got him to commit to coming on a visit, and he's just a terrific kid, great personality. You could see that he had leadership skills, and fortunately he liked it here enough and really felt like he'd fit in this offense, and we ended up signing him as our only quarterback. We had another quarterback committed a week ago, and Thursday he got a phone call from a school he hadn't heard from all year, and Friday he had an airline ticket, and Sunday he was committed to the other school, a BCS school. So that's just kind of the way it happens. We had several of those that fell off of our board like that. But we're excited about Prince, and I think if we can continue to get one each year that we think can play that position and fit into our offense, we're going to be fine. We'll have one in each class, and that'll give us 4 or 5 in the program all the time.
Coach, do you feel like it was easier this year recruiting with the success you had, or last year because you were kind of starting from scratch and everybody thought they'd have a chance at playing earlier?
Well, it was just really different this year. Last year when we came in, we had and we just had the last couple of weeks to get out and make a push, and we found some guys like Prince just at the end, and we're able to latch on to some guys. I felt like we had a good class last year, despite only having a couple 3 weeks to really hit the road hard with all the staff. What's interesting about recruiting at this level is you really end up in the same place the last week of recruiting, whether you had a whole year or 2 weeks, because we worked really hard on all those guys. And some of those quarterbacks I talked about, excuse me, we had a chance to talk to on the phone last spring when they were juniors. We had them in camp as seniors this past June. They came to football games and watched us play. They celebrated with our team at the App State game. They loved it. They come on a recruiting visit. They're committed to us, and all of a sudden they're off the door because a bigger school comes in and offers them. So we're really in the same place. And you have to keep a lot of kids on your recruiting list and keep recruiting a lot of kids so that at the end, when that happens, you've got some guys you can go to and say, hey, we lost this guy and we want to offer this next guy that's on the list. And I don't know. I really wonder sometimes if you just kind of sat on your hands until the end of December and then went out and blitzed the whole Southeast, you couldn't find the same recruiting class when you're coaching at this level. Sometimes I think that might be the case. And but what helped us get involved with a lot of these kids, where we beat other schools and we beat the Sun Belt or a MAC school or a Conference USA school or would they say the mid-majors, and we can slug around with those guys in recruiting some, and we're going to lose some to them, and we beat them on some, and to be able to recruit against the App States and those folks in our league, the top tier teams at this level, because we won 10 games when we went to the semifinals, it gave some validity when we walked through the door to those kids, because the kids, they recognize the fact that you won, you were at the top of your division, And what helps is that Georgia Southern is very recognizable to high school coaches. High school coaches have a great deal of respect for Georgia Southern when you come through the door, and the kids don't know. They look at their high school coach, and the coach says, yeah, this is one you really need to pay attention to, and this place is different than those others you've been talking to. So it helps, but it doesn't, it doesn't solve everything.
Talk about some of the local guys, obviously, having some words around here, just talk about how good that was for you.
Oh, we'd love to get as many kids as possible from this part of the state. We're South Georgia school. We'd like to get South Georgia kids, and we're really excited to have the kids from here in the area close by coming to school and joining our program. It helps people in those communities here in Statesboro and Swainsboro and down in Toombs County where we got Maurice Hunt. All those kids are going to bring attention and interest from the people in town, and I think it's great. I'd love to get as many local guys as we can, and we recruit this area harder than we recruit any part of the state or any area of the Southeast. Our South Georgia and local area is the most important to us, and if there's a kid that's close by us here, we've recruited them. We've done everything we can to get them interested in Georgia Southern and not lose them to another school if we want them.
Coach, you look over last year's recruiting class, and it's just amazing seeing all the names that ended up being big-time contributors. If you had to guess, or is there any way to predict how many of these kids might be involved as much as last year's class in this coming season?
Yeah, I don't know, and that's always the real question is which of these guys are going to be physically ready and capable of making a contribution next year. It's so different to play in a college football game than it is a high school football game. Just the speed and the collisions are the hits are harder, and so you just never know. I think some of these kids are going to have to play. If you look at our depth chart and see where we're losing people, you can figure out kind of the positions where, hey, they're probably going to need a guy or two here or there, and then the guys that are really special, the guys that that come in are very talented. It's hard to keep them off the field. So I couldn't begin to predict which of those guys are going to play. I think some of them will, and we'll find out more about that when they get here and they go through summer workouts and we hit the field for preseason camp.
Would it be fair to say there's less of a sense of urgency to get some of the true freshmen involved this year than as opposed to last year?
Oh, I don't know. I think I know we've got a lot of starters coming back, but I look at the backups behind those guys, and really there's some holes to fill, and we're definitely going to need some of these guys to be backups and be able to play a lot of special teams and play snaps for us. And we had enough guys get hurt this year that when you lost a guy, you were looking around and there really wasn't a lot of depth, and so that'll help us in terms of if we have those problems again next year, there'll be another guy that's been recruited and we feel like has the ability. It's not a it's not a guy that's just a guy that you got prepared and coached up, but a guy that has the ability to make a play.